From Studio 13 in California, you're listening to Wildcard with your hosts, John.
How are you alive? It's a pretty basic question.
And Connor.
I don't even, this is making me uncomfortable just listening to this.
Now, here is the Chrysler LeBaron of podcasts.
Hello, and welcome to this action-packed episode of Wildcard. Have you ever watched the X Games or maybe even a Nitro Circus movie and thought, hey, if I was young and still had hair and drank a lot of Red Bull, I could do one of those tricks? Well, after hearing today's episode, you will be very, very certain that you absolutely cannot do those things. And that is because to be part of the Nitro Circus requires you to be missing a critical part of your brain, the part that keeps you alive. On today's episode, we welcome Nitro Circus legend Streetbike Tommy. He's the guy that got famous for trying to front flip a Gixxer 1000 to a foam pit, and he miscalculated just a little bit and ended up landing on a stack of plywood. And while the trick may not have gone as planned, it did earn Tommy the favor of Travis Pastrana and a spot on the most badass stunt crew on Earth. We go inside the world of Nitro. What is it like to be an action sports athlete risking your life day in and day out to get the applause of you and me? Who plans the stunts? Who gets to say no? And what happens when it all goes wrong? So look deep inside and find that 12-year-old boy who told his buddy, yeah, you can do it. You just got to go faster. Double check your medical insurance and get ready to send it for this episode of Wildcard. We are back. Last week we had an episode from our archives, but now I am joined by my co-host in the studio, the man who single-handedly keeps WebMD a top 10 website, Connor Johnston.
I like when you say from the archives, meaning like 6 weeks ago before we were huge.
I'm pretty excited because today on the show, we have the anti-Jake Paul. Unlike the build-up blue balls, get a big stunt ready to go and not do it, he is the antithesis of that. He is a member of the Nitro Circus. It is Streetbike Tommy.
Mr. Streetbike.
And if you're old enough, this gets me so fired up.
Yes. It sounds like Deliverance.
It does sound a little bit like Deliverance.
Yeah.
Streetbike is one of those guys that is genuinely a nice guy. We met back when I had a company called Optrix, and we did iPhone accessories for iPhones, shockingly. Yeah. So anyway, I met Tommy, and Tommy was great for our brand. He always was somebody who represented our brand and used our products really well, and he was super, super nice, invited us out to Nitro Circus shows where we got to hang backstage. But the all-time coolest thing that Tommy ever did was he invited us out to Pastrana Land. This is the Graceland. I almost get misty-eyed talking about it. This is the Graceland of any action sports star. He said...
I was going to say more like Neverland Ranch.
It is Neverland Ranch minus the...
child molestation?
That's one
and the giraffes. They don't have giraffes.
So, yes, it's minus the hand-to-hand combat, shall I say. You know, it's one of those things where, you know how they tell you not to meet your heroes because you're going to meet them and they're not going to live up to expectation? Mm-hmm. So Pastrana Land is the opposite. You get there and you're like, this is fucking awesome. I need to live here. Why is this all the way on the other side of the country?
Where is it?
It's in Maryland.
It's in Maryland?
Annapolis. It's just like in a normal neighborhood. So Tommy meets us at our...
so the neighbors love him.
Yes, yeah, totally. So I think he ended up buying both houses on either side. We're at our Airbnb. Tommy picks us up, or he's like, follow us. We drive out there. You're just driving kind of through normal parts of Annapolis, and then you just get to this gate, and the gate opens, and you have that background like, oh, it's just, there's ramps. Every possible area, like where you enter, there's like a coping on the thing that opens the gate. And then there's... under the second-story window of the house that's right there is a trampoline built into the ground. So if you want, you can jump off the roof, hit the trampoline, and then land in a skate ramp. And then you go down this driveway, and it's got this giant warehouse, like air hanger thing, and you open it up, and it's just ATVs, all of Travis's dirt bikes, X Games stuff, foam pits. He's got like a rat warren maze through the top of the airplane hangar that you can jump out of like at any point and land in a foam pit.
What?
Yeah. And then he's got the infamous don't turn right foam pit.
Yes. The one that made Streetbike famous.
The one that made Streetbike famous, which we have to, I'm sure he's never been asked about it.
No.
but we'll ask him about it when he gets on. Yeah, so you've got the foam pit, you've got ramps, and then you've got hundreds of acres of...
Hundreds of acres?
I have a predilection for exaggeration.
I've noticed.
So
yes, at least 6 inches.
They call it acreage.
Acreage.
You got acreage.
Yeah.
To where there's kind of a dirt road, and there's a back area where these are these ramps. There are these ramps like for the big jumps.
Yeah.
If you've ever seen some of these guys that pull these 3 backflips on a dirt bike to a resin or an airbag, there's some fantastic videos from Action Figures.
So you're
3.
basically like Charlie, who won the golden ticket and got to go to the Wonka factory.
Yes, it is. Think redneck, like gearhead, too much testosterone, was raised on monsters. You got $100 million.
And
this is what you would build.
And you have balls the size of watermelons. The smallest thing there is like the biggest thing I've ever done.
Basically.
Yeah.
The crazy thing that you don't see in a lot of the films, too, is how skilled you have to be to get the speed to go off the stuff. Because, again, I'm telling you, this is in a neighborhood. And so if you've got a jump that you've got to go off that is, you're trying to do 3 backflips on a dirt bike, you've got to come into that, 4th gear pinned.
Yeah. Which is like 50 miles an hour for people who don't ride bikes.
And you need to be pinned for a while on a dirt bike because that last gear is tall. So you're coming through, there's a dry creek. So to get the speed for this, you've got to start like a mile away, and you're weaving through the woods like a motocross track. You have to fucking jump a river to get the speed up to hit this ramp. And, God forbid you get it wrong, you're dead.
Right.
Anyway, Pastrana Land is fucking fantastic.
So how does a regular schmo like me with no discernible athletic abilities whatsoever get an invite? I guess I should ask Streetbike this.
I don't think you do. But
well, you did.
Yes, but I have
like
discernible
Veruca
talent.
Salt there and the blueberry one.
Actually, speaking of, we were there and we were all kind of hanging out watching people do some backflips into the foam pit.
Just
into
like
the
regular,
don't turn right.
regulars at the ranch who just come by. Oh, we're going to come by and backflip some stuff over at Travis's.
I mean, they were regulars, but then Tommy turns around and there are these 2 guys standing there, and Tommy's just like, who the fuck are you? And there's like, oh, man, like, we tight with Trav. Yeah, we tight. He's like, who the fuck said you could come on this property? Oh, man, it's cool, it's cool.
What?
And Tommy does not, like, he had a switch. He does not mess around. And these dudes were gone so fast, they just wandered in. They, like, hopped a fence and tried to cross their arms and be like, yo, bro, like, we're down
like,
with
hopped
the
a fence.
Nitro.
Did they bring their own bike, or they were just going to, like, show up and borrow one of Travis's?
I don't know. They were just kind of hanging out. I mean, it's not hard to find it. I think if you live in the area, it's pretty obvious where it is.
Dude, I would go watch. He should be like Ray from Field of Dreams. Like, people will come, Travis. Set up some freaking bleachers, all right? Make sure your daughter doesn't fall off, because then the old guy's going to have to cross over and he'll be old again, all right? And he's going to be choking on a hot dog. But my point is, set up some freaking bleachers and let schlubs like me come and pay $5 to watch you do kick-ass backflips.
I am wholeheartedly on board with a fantastic idea.
Thank you.
Only downside.
No downsides.
A little thing called liability.
Well, so I was going to ask you that. I assume when you come on and you met Streetbike or whomever, if there's like a butler at this awesome palace, did you have to sign like a 9-page long release of liability?
I want to say yes. I don't actually remember, but I think I did.
I mean,
I certainly hope
they
so.
let you do stuff, right? Like, you were participating in things?
It is one of those places that doesn't exist anymore because of liability in this world, where everything is so safety first. You show up and there are no real rules.
Is there a lifeguard?
You can't fire a shotgun in the direction of the people backflipping. That's a rule.
But you can fire a shotgun any other direction.
The rule really is don't be stupid and don't die.
Well, no, there's a lot of stupidity.
If you're like, hey, Tommy, can I take that freestyle bike from X Games and try to backflip into the foam pit? You'd be like, all right.
Jesus.
But you better bring your A game, because if there's ever a time where you don't want to look like a wuss, it's at Pastrana Land.
Yeah.
And
do they have an ambulance on standby?
No, but I do know that they're very good friends with the local urgent care clinics.
They know them by name.
Oh yeah. When we were there, we were there for an event where we were flipping things called shredders. It's like a Segway with bigger balls that goes kind of fast.
I'm sorry, like a snowmobile?
A snowmobile with no front skis, but a Segway top. So you stand on the track part and it hauls balls.
What?
Yeah. So
and
we
you
were doing that.
Flipping them?
Yeah.
Into the foam pit?
Not me. I was filming a lot of it. But yeah, one guy tweaked his neck once he was flipping it to dirt, and we took him.
He was flipping it to dirt?
Yes. Oh yeah, you can look it up online. It's a DTV shredder flip. And that's what we were there for.
DTD.
And they went from never flipping it to dirt in 24 hours.
Oh, my God.
And yeah, it was awesome. I was there, and thank God I actually got a chance to flip into the foam pit. I probably haven't said it on here. I've been a motorcycle racer for a lot of my life. I've ridden dirt bikes. I'm not particularly a good dirt bike rider. I've been a street bike racer.
You've had some spectacular crashes, though.
That is true. I do fuck up at full speed.
We were riding out at the sand dunes in Pismo once, and John, I don't know what you were thinking or if like your throttle malfunctioned, but you hit this thing at, I want to say, like 7th gear pinned. And I didn't even see the crash because you flew over the horizon.
I do remember that,
yeah.
yes.
It was like, John was like 2 horizons away, and I had to start my bike and ride over there, and you were just complete yard sale.
I entered a low orbit.
Yeah,
I had plenty of time for that realization that the landing was not going to go well.
There was no landing. I'm surprised you didn't make it into the ocean.
I love riding dirt bikes, and I have no business flipping them.
Right.
And I had never done any sort of kind of freestyle stuff on a dirt bike. Little kid in me is like, you can do this.
Mm-hmm.
How often do you get to go to Pastrana land? Like, you have to try to do something rad.
Right.
You know, if I break a bone, I broke a fucking bone at Pastrana land.
You got to impress these guys,
yes.
too. You got to earn your spot.
I don't know if I can impress them, but I have to just not look. It's like that thing, you know, when they say you don't have to outrun a bear, you just have to outrun your friend.
Right. Was there a friend there who
Yes.
sucked at stuff?
No, he was actually better at doing stuff like this.
Shit.
But there were other people there that sucked.
Okay.
So I just had to be not the suckiest of the crew.
Exactly.
So one of the things I heard somebody say, and thank God I heard him say it, was the foam pit is very deep. So if you go in deep, don't panic. Just chill out. They'll get you out.
Huh.
And the other thing I heard someone say is the foam blocks were developed for gymnastics. They're a petroleum product.
Oh, they're nasty.
And you're jumping a dirt bike with a glowing hot exhaust and fuel into a petroleum product.
Yeah.
Which means, literally, if something starts on fire,
you're in a
foam
soup of
pit,
fire.
yes, it's done.
Yeah.
And you're lifted out with a crane from the 1920s. They're like, yeah, we'll get you out in no time. Yeah. And this thing is not quick. So the first time I go to flip into this foam pit, I make it halfway rotated. And I come in like a lawn dart.
Yeah.
So you come in, I lawn dart head first all the way to the bottom. I literally felt myself knife all the way to the bottom of the foam pit.
The bike's on top of you.
Well, it comes down secondarily.
Yeah.
So it's a nice little knock.
Yeah.
So you come down, and my head goes right to the bottom. I didn't hit the bottom hard like it hurt. I just went straight in. Now my arms are pinned up. So it's as if you're literally standing on your head with your arms at your waist. The bike then comes down on top of you, and you can smell the fuel. You can feel the heat. And there's foam blocks everywhere, and it's really dusty at the bottom.
By the way, that foam dust,
Right.
super healthy.
There is actually, it is written, no sex in the foam pit. It's written on the side. But so I'm down there, and I am not a claustrophobic or a panicky person because I was absolutely 100% immobile.
You couldn't move.
Upside down. Could not move.
Huh.
You are so lawn darted in there so deep that you can't move. And I know people are sitting there listening to this going, oh, yeah, you could move. No, you absolutely cannot.
Huh.
And so I'm waiting there, and I'm doing like the Lamaze, like I'm having a baby breathing. I'm like, you're okay. You can breathe. The good thing is you can breathe in those foam blocks. It's dusty, but you're not like cut off from air.
Yeah.
Because it feels like you're upside down underwater. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, breathe. And it's a solid couple minutes before they can get a crane around your ankle. They have to dig down. They can't really see your feet.
Oh, wow.
It's like 15 feet deep.
Huh.
So you're like way down there. If they didn't pull you out, like it might take you a couple hours because I don't even know if you could right yourself.
They have an indoor BMX park in Whistler.
Yeah.
And so there's a bunch of ramps that all lead into a foam pit. And I had the same experience that the foam is super hot and dusty. And
Yes.
that dust is like, I'm pretty sure that's all cancer.
No, I'm sure it's very cancery. However, the nice thing about action sports and Nitro Circus is that you're going to die long before the cancer ever gets you. Anyway, all right. I would like to welcome to Wildcard, Streetbike Tommy.
Oh man, where's the sound effect guy? Where's the
We have sound effects, but you can't hear it. So pause while we add clapping. I'm adding clapping.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Tommy, thanks for joining us today.
Did you tell him you have a co-host? Does he have any idea who I am?
Tommy, this is Connor.
No,
Connor's
no.
my co-host.
I got to be honest right now. I'm fangirling pretty hard today. I'm
My man.
I'm pretty excited about this.
So, Tommy,
Yes, sir.
I was talking all about how we met and how I didn't believe it was you, and I forced you to send me incriminating photos over the internet to prove that it was you.
Yeah, I did all that for a phone case, man.
Seriously. I was also just talking about the time you had us out. You made my childhood dream come true about how we came out to Pastrana Land and pretended to be actual cool Nitro Circus folk while people were flipping shredders.
You definitely were.
We hung out. I'll call myself a Nitro groupie. How's that?
Yes, sir. It works, but you didn't put out, so I was a little upset.
You didn't put out.
Well, I was.
It all makes sense now. You send him a shirtless pic right off the bat. You invite him over.
Yeah,
I was saving myself for Hubert.
Oh man, I'm gonna tell him.
John said,
I don't think that man's ever been called a tease a day in his life.
Oh my.
John said that you had a couple guys sneak onto the property and that you had to get physical and bounce them.
Yeah, I'm kind of territorial, so like when people just show up randomly like that, and like because like I asked him, I was like, "Who you here with?" And like he's like, I'm just stopping by to check things out. I'm like, "No, you're not."
It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, I had to throw a couple people out that day.
Does that happen a lot? Do people just
Yeah, I mean, you'd think it wouldn't because it's a dude's house, but people, man, they think they have this relationship with you because they see you on TV, and it's like, man, I don't know you, dude.
That's one of the things I wanted to ask you because there are different levels of famous, and I think there are different benefits and drawbacks to each level of fame. Like I would not want to be I would never want to be like
Obama.
Yeah, like crazy famous to the point where you can't function.
Yeah.
But it's also tough to be correct me if I'm wrong, Tommy. Like Tommy is a really good level of famous in one regard, and that is he gets to do a lot of really, really cool shit that a normal person will never get to do in their life. But on the flip side, I feel like because you guys are so natural and so kind of the coolest guys in the neighborhood that you probably seem very approachable to fans, which would get really annoying really fast.
I don't know. I mean, it doesn't really bother me too much, man. Like when people approach me or whatever and we're out and drinking and stuff like that, or, it's just the only time this level of fame is a problem is like when I'm trying to make my ends meet and you see me up at Home Depot all beat to hell, because I'm trying to like pay my bills because, we're not to the level of famous that it's like, life's easy, and everybody argues that my level of famous is cool, but man, give me that famous where I can't go anywhere. That means I'm sitting in my mansion, you see me pass by in my Lambo, it's got 2 speeds fast and what was that? That's the life I want to live. I want the bodyguards and everything because with that comes, big time money.
Are you still hanging drywall sometimes?
Yeah, man, family business. That's not going anywhere. I got, you don't get much with me, but you get a capable set of hands is what you get.
That is yet another thing that Tommy is better than me at, hanging drywall. He has bigger balls than I have.
Yeah.
He does cooler stuff on motorcycles than me.
Yeah.
And he can hang drywall better than me.
That shit's hard.
It's really hard.
You do the smoothing it out? Because there's always a seam when I do it.
Yeah, so like I really try to be a man's man. I like to do dangerous stuff. I like to shoot guns. I like to hang drywall, build stuff with my hands, impress chicks. I like to cook,
He really is a man's man. His Instagram's like the redneck Dos Equis guy. It's like beer and chicks, shooting guns, death-defying stunts.
Grow a beard.
Yeah. I mean, it's nonstop. Grow a beard. So let's talk a little bit because one of the things I did. Well, let me ask this because you were talking about making money. I feel like if Nitro Circus happened now with YouTube.
Yeah. We missed the ball. Like we were probably the worst time in the history of TV to come about financially because we were on the downfall of actual TV, on the uprise of digital, and nobody was doing digital.
Yep. Yeah. If you had been like 5 years later, I don't know if you guys are familiar with like Dude Perfect or any of those, but I mean, if you guys were 5 years later, you guys are Dude Perfect, and you're driving into what was that?
Well, and
I feel like I'm waiting a couple more years, and I feel like we're gonna get discovered as like the OGs. You know what I mean?
you are preaching to the choir here, because we watch some of these videos and we call these videos blue balls because a lot of these guys will set up cool stunts. Like they will get a dirt bike and a swimming pool, and you're like, okay, something is going to go down.
He's going to backflip it and set himself on fire.
And land in a cactus.
Yeah.
Something rad is going to happen. And then, like Jake Paul will drive the dirt bike into the pool and just go blep, and it just dies.
Yeah.
You're like, that was so not cool. You suck.
Yeah. No, they do that baby back bullshit,
Yes. Before this interview, I wanted to go back because I fanboyed out when you first emailed us because I was a huge Nitro fan. And
I appreciate it.
I went back when you were coming on the show, I went back and watched, I'm not sure how many Nitro movies there are, but the latest Nitro movie. And there is a stunt on there because I have forgotten, because you weren't the guy with the X Supercross experience. They are just like, okay, what's the most dangerous trick? Oh, we're going to give it to Tommy.
Right.
Yeah.
And I watched one. I'm not kidding. It gives me palpable like butterflies, and I get uncomfortable. It was the one where you were on top of a building. I think Roner was base jumping, and you had a blob. And tell me what happened, because it is absolutely it's nightmare inducing.
Well, I mean, if you were there, it actually would be way more nightmare-inducing, because it was actually like an unfinished, like 67-plus story building that we were doing it off of, and we get to set and there's a blob hanging halfway off, and
for people that don't know, what's a blob?
A blob is a big balloon that you jump on one side, and your other friend that's sitting on the other side gets flung the hell off.
Giant. I mean, he's talking like 30.
Yeah, like a big ass balloon.
Yeah, you guys used to do them on water on the show.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what they're designed for. So we obviously, the next step is putting it on top of a skyscraper in Panama.
Of course.
And then so I was the dead weight because I'm the only fat guy on the show, and me and the other producer, Jeremy Raw.
Yep.
He's the other fat guy. We teamed up and decided to blob Roner and Travis off the side of this skyscraper in Panama. And I actually, if you were standing there, you wouldn't believe, like, I get bad juju before a stunt, and I'll tell people exactly what's going to happen before it happens. You'd think that I was like, a psychic, and they're putting up these safety boxes on the sides of it in case you get thrown off. I said, hey, let me get one more row of boxes on that side of the blob. And they were like, nah, man, we're good, man. You're eating up the clock. You're just scared. And I was like, nah, dude, give me one more row of safety boxes right next to that side of the blob. And they were like, no, go do the stunt. Okay, I'm going to go do the stunt. Which the stunt for me was climbing up 3 more stories above this blob in an unfinished stairwell on that building. And there's no railings. There's 0 railings. It's an unfinished stairwell. So when I'm looking out, I don't see building. I don't see blob. I don't see anything.
Fuck.
I don't. This is making me uncomfortable just listening to this.
I mean, I just watched this, and I have 30 feet, people think that's nothing.
That's a lot.
And the majority of people listening to this would not jump 30 feet into water.
No, 30 feet into water is a pretty big jump.
Going up on top of a building that is arguably close to 1,000 feet high, that balcony, you're basically jumping from the top of the building to a balcony 1,000 feet in the air with wind, and it probably looked like a postage stamp.
Yeah, no, it was tiny. Like, it was like, because we're a good 4 stories. Me and Jeremy, in unison, because we've done it before, in water. So we're very familiar with jumping together at the right time, and our timing was great. We jump off same way as we always did with water, and we hit the blob. Everything went perfect. We hit our target. Everything went perfect. But the blob, the air kind of moved funny inside the blob and flipped me over top of Jeremy and flung me to the side, where I asked for that extra row of safety boxes.
The ones they didn't put in.
Correct.
I missed by 1 row of safety boxes and landed from it was the equivalent of jumping off a 1-story house, like the roof of a 1-story house, and landing in the seated position.
Onto concrete.
On the concrete, straight up concrete.
But at least you landed somewhere.
Because they showed on the tape the other direction, because it looked like the blob was kind of off-centered on the mezzanine on the deck, where if you had traveled the same distance, like you happened to bounce the direction where there was still deck.
Right.
If you bounced the same distance the other way, it literally is game over.
Yeah, no, I didn't have a parachute or nothing, and it would have been game over.
What?
The funny thing is, like, these guys are base jumping off of a building, getting bounced off of it by a balloon, and that's the safe part of the stunt. That's the easy part. Like, I would gladly do that.
They've got a parachute.
Yeah.
I'm not jumping anywhere off of a 700,000-foot building onto a postage stamp with a row of boxes.
I think my hands are sweating just listening to this
Oh,
story.
wait, I'll show you. I'll fire up the video, and anyone that if you don't have the Nitro Circus movie and you want to just relive some real, back when men who did stunts were actual badasses, watch the movie. It's freaking fantastic and terrifying, and that scene alone is worth the $4.99.
Well, I got to give it up to my boy Roner, because he actually did have the hard job that nobody really realizes, because one thing that we didn't realize until we got there, the scariest part was for Roner, because he actually had to crawl out to get to the end of the blob.
I saw that, because the blob, okay.
Oh, it didn't toss him?
Well, so the blob is already in place. It's 50-50. Like 50% of it is over the edge of the building and 50% is on the scaffold.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Oh, I have the nervous giggles.
Yeah, Eric had to climb out on this very, very unsteady surface and get himself positioned to be flung off. And then he sat there for 45 minutes while we had a camera spike.
This blob is hanging like a tongue. It's hanging off the top of the building. There's a good 20 feet of blob just hanging out like
he's
the
just
world's
chilling on there.
Most deadly pirate plank. Like walk the plank. So he's just sitting out there. And the thing is, the blob is so blobby. That's a technical term.
Yeah.
The blob is so blobby that it's kind of sloped on the tip.
Right.
So it's not like you're laying down on something that you can sit on. It's like you're trying to sit on the slanted edge of a giant balloon. So he's probably like trying to hold himself from sliding off the effing building the whole time.
And what was Pastrana out there too?
Pastrana did do it, but he didn't have to wait as long as Rubs because he didn't have a camera spike. Camera spike in this times, like those red cameras were all brand new, and it would have like an energy spike in something because it was very unreliable power. Panama, everybody, it's hard to explain, but the cameras would spike and then they need to be reset if they spiked.
Oh my God.
Like a surge, like you have surge protectors on computers.
I would be like, just give me the fucking GoPro. Let's get this over with.
45 minutes later, we did the stunt.
Oh my God.
That's a stunt you did. Has there ever been a stunt where you're just like, you know what? I don't care how much peer pressure there is. I don't care if this is how I pay my bills. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, like almost all of them.
Oh, that's really funny.
The stuff that you've seen me do is about, I'd say around 2 to 3% of what actually gets put on my plate.
Wow.
Those are insane. Jumping that boat. So he also jumped a boat over some land, and it promptly hit the land at like 80 miles an hour and sank.
Sank into the land? Or like bounced off the land into the water?
Yeah, it was water over land into water.
You have to know that's not going to end well.
Yeah, I told him that. I was drunk the whole time. I was worried about dying.
Oh, my God.
Now, did you have that boat sunk nearly immediately? Yeah. Sunk, like not just kind of like a little bit underwater, but went down like a rock. Did you have breathing apparatus, or were you just holding your breath and frantically trying to undo your belts?
These idiots give me this whole class on how to breathe with scuba gear, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, oh, this is a professional stunt with professional roll cage. Roll cage didn't go through the front of the boat at all. And then the breathing apparatus, okay, I had it in my mouth, but as soon as I hit, because I didn't make the water initially, I hit the asphalt on top and then ended up in the water. So I lost the breathing apparatus.
Oh, and then it came out of your mouth?
Yeah, dude, I gave it like 3 swipes. And I couldn't find it, so that's when I unbuckled, because they told me to stay in it.
Did they have divers down there, like, waiting for you?
It doesn't matter, dude. Going underwater at that point, did you get a good breath before you went down?
Yeah, I was yelling, so it was a good breath out. And then, the safety crew that was like, a professional safety crew, they told me, do not get out of the boat. Just breathe normally through the breather. And the safety boat will be there in seconds and grab it with the crane, pull it out, and I'll be able to breathe. Well, I came to the surface because I didn't have the breathing apparatus, and I get up to, I don't know if you've seen that movie, but it's a shot that's pretty far away, and the safety barge was like, wasn't anywhere to be seen. That's like peak human being panic.
So if you do these, what the hell did you say no to?
This was my question. I want to know what the other 98% were.
Well, so like for years and years, I said no to skydiving. I finally ended up doing that.
Just regular skydiving?
I don't have a good success rate, man. I've never really done it.
I could see how that would be if things don't go well, you're like, that one's maybe not a good one to try.
You were cool with jumping off an unfinished building into a blob that's hanging off the side.
But if you give him the parachute, he wouldn't have done it.
Well, I wasn't cool with it. Let's just get that right square right now. I was not cool with it. Yeah.
So who brings you the idea and is like, Tommy, here's what we're thinking. We're going to hold your arm down and then run it through a table saw.
Yeah. So that's everybody. And everybody always looks at me like Trav, Roner, Jolene, Special. Everybody's like, oh, no, you got that. Layup. Yeah, not a layup.
See, you're actually probably my favorite person on the show because it makes me think, what is a relatively normal person going to do in this situation? Like the rest of them are all good at things and, I feel like I'm untalented at everything, and I wonder, like, what if I were surrounded by psychopaths who made me try to be as good at them at stuff?
Yeah, I was just trying not to die. I don't know if I'm being good.
Yeah, so let's talk about how you got mixed up with this whole crew of psychopaths. And the best description of Pastrana Land I ever heard is it's a bad idea factory. And so your friggin' name is Streetbike Tommy. What were you doing? Did you know Travis growing up, or you were riding street bikes and stunting and stuff like that? How did that all come about?
I was so full of pepper back then, man. I just got out of high school, and I thought I was the coolest kid on the planet. Had the best parties. Always riding my street bike, riding away from cops and doing wheelies, and impressing all the chicks. Basically, like just being like the local hero.
I fully support it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and everybody knew my name. Like, oh, there goes Tommy, blah blah blah. Tommy's crazy, blah blah blah. And I guess when Travis was doing Nitro 1, he started to get the movie together, and he was putting it together with Jim DeChamp, Special Greg.
Yep.
They were cutting it and putting it together, just rough DVD. It was something that was just kind of Sharpied Nitro Circus on the DVD when they were working on it. Jim DeChamp actually brought it over to a party that I was at and played it for a bunch of my friends, and everybody was like, oh, Jim's the coolest kid in the world. Oh, my God, look, he's so crazy. And I was all like, whatever, dude. If I had money, man, I'd be doing way cooler stuff than that. Y'all falling short, And Jim kind of got like, puffy chested, like, yeah, okay, put your money where your mouth is, tough guy, type stuff. And, all my friends were like, Tommy's crazy, blah, blah, blah. And they're filming for Nitro 2 at this point. And they invited me over for a film day, Pastrana Land filming, basically, where a bunch of those guys would get together with teams of 3 and head out, and whoever came back with the coolest footage would win $2,000. It'd be anything from Travis landing the first world's ever double backflip to a girl doing naked jumping jacks. You know what I mean? Like if the group collectively came back and we all played our little parts, and everybody would vote to see who was the best part of all the groups. If somebody had better footage, it was obvious. So the winner of that would get $2,000. So I was like, bet, man, I got this. Like, you guys are sissies talking mad smack. And when we went out, I actually couldn't really think of anything to do, because it was all like, you think you have all these great ideas until you are pressured into making them come to fruition. You know what I mean? Like, oh, that's stupid. No, we got to do something better than that. And I couldn't think of anything, so I just jumped in my everyday driver at the time, which was a Lincoln 1983 baby blue. And I smashed it into a tree at probably 55 miles an hour.
Was that the stunt, or you were just pissed you couldn't think of anything?
You were just drunk.
That was a stunt. I put a couch cushion in my chest and put on my sheet.
Oh, yeah, because 83, you got no airbag, nothing.
Oh, it folded up, dude. Like, it folded up. Things that I didn't think about was my knees went flying through the dash. But then I got out, and I still couldn't think of anything, so I shot it up with my shotgun at the time. Had my buddy come over and run over it with his lifted S10. And then, we got drinking beers and trying to, think of stuff to do. My buddy, he was like, dude, you got to get your street bike out, man. You got to get your street bike out. We got to do wheelies. And I was like, man, I can't do wheelies because the cops have been chasing me too much lately. Like, they started learning my route, you know? So I was like, all right, whatever. I'll get on my street bike. And ended up doing this 4-mile wheelie. And I was riding a wheelie so long around, like, traffic and everything, like going around cars and, you know, just kept it up on one wheel. I didn't know that after a while you're starving the top of the engine of oil, and I blew some valves. You know what I mean?
See, I don't have that problem. I don't have the problem of riding a wheelie so long that I starve the top of the motor of oil. That is a nitro problem.
So now you've lost your car and your bike.
I actually ended up running from the cops with that half-engine motorcycle because right as I put it down, because it came down, it still had like half power. And right at that point in time, a cop got right behind me, hit the lights and everything. So I had to run from him. And I did get away, and I ended up putting it in the back of my buddy's truck. And we drove the rest of the way to Travis' house because I was like, well, my bike is screwed. Like, let's send it off the right way and try to flip it. We went to Travis's foam pit, and that's when it all happened.
Yeah, I've seen that along with about 1 million other people on YouTube. What happens next?
Yeah. So I ended up getting to Travis's house, and that was like probably the first time I met Travis was, you know, I was like, hey, man, you mind if I jump my street bike into your foam pit? And he was like, yeah, sure. You ever jumped anything before? And I was like, nah. So I'd never jumped anything a day in my life. I'm looking at this ramp and it's just straight up and down, right? So he goes, all right, well, just hit it the first time and see how it feels. Like, see if those street tires like kick off of it weird or something, you know what I mean? And if you're gonna hit it again, you're gonna stress my crane. So like, do a trick, make it worth it. So I was like, all right, bet. And he goes, well, what are you gonna do? And I was like, at the time, like, you know, everybody was like just learning backflips. So I was like, I'm gonna do a backflip. And he was like, all right, cool. But in my brain, I was like, all right, I can't do a backflip standing. I can't do a backflip into a pool. You know, I've never been able to do a backflip on a trampoline, nothing. So it's something that my brain won't let me do. So I was like, in my head, I can do front flips really good. Like, I'm really good at doing front flips. So I told Travis that I was going to do a backflip, and I ended up trying a front flip, but never going to live that one down for the rest of my life because travel will never let me. But, you know, I was trying to do a front flip, and I ended up doing a front flip. And I thought I was cool as hell going through the air, because I was doing a front flip, and it was the first time anybody in history had ever done a front flip on a motorcycle, and it was a crotch rocket, a GSXR 1000, and I was like, I'm new, I'm killing it, I'm going to win this $2,000.
Oh, it was all going so right. And then you saw the end of the foam pit.
Well, I came around, and I was like, oh, my God, I'm too far, because in my brain, the ramp was straight up and down. So if I went faster, I would just go higher. I didn't know that I would go further.
You know, it could have been the fact you already crashed an 83 Lincoln, drank a bunch of beers, and then blew up a motorcycle, that your mind wasn't necessarily operating at its peak performance at that moment.
That is correct.
So what happens? You're in the air, and at some point, I assume you're in the air and you realize this is not going to end well.
Right when the bike was above me. So I was like, you know what, just stick with it until the rotation gets it out from over top of you, and then I kick it away. Like, so I managed to kick it away, if you watch the clip, in the last, like, probably 10 feet before I hit the ground. And I got it away from me, and then I just tried to run out of it, and I ended up just hitting the ground super hard in the tumble, and all I really did was break my left foot.
In the video, it looks like you landed on a stack of plywood.
I did.
Did that help?
No.
Would have been ironic if it was drywall.
Yeah, that might have softened it.
Yeah, you guys are funny.
Hey, we're just laughing because we're not the ones that went 40 feet to plywood.
So, Tommy,
well, I actually caught 1 foot on the side of the pit.
Oh, that helps.
Oh.
Is that the one that broke?
That's the one that broke?
No, that's actually the one. So my first one that I put down was my right foot, and I tore my ACL, MCL, PCL, and detached, broke that ankle.
So your first day hanging out with these guys, you ruin your car, ruin your bike, break a bunch of stuff in your lower half.
Yeah.
And did you win the 2000? You should have.
I did win the 2000, which I spent on a bottle of Louis XIII.
All right, you're getting a round of applause from our sound effects.
That's a good day. I feel like if I were you at that point, I'd be like, okay, I did a day with these guys, and I'm good. I'm done.
No, Travis was like, I've found my spirit animal. Come with me, Padawan.
Yeah.
And the next thing that I did, it was funny because that's how I got my nickname. I called in for Greg Godfrey at Godfrey Entertainment to get a camera. I was like, I had this idea that I wanted to jump off a cruise ship. I needed a camera.
Shit. Those are really high.
Yeah, it was 100+ feet, like whatever. But long story short, I kind of messed it up on the way down, and I had to correct it, and I didn't. And
so you did it?
Yeah, I ended up burning my hands off because there was like the sun side of the ship, and I had to push off the side of the boat, and it messed up my trajectory. Ended up entering the water with my face, and I hemorrhaged my left eye and had full body bruising on the left side of my body.
How are you alive? You should see Connor's face right now. I mean, how are you alive? It's a pretty basic question.
Man upstairs, as long as you keep him laughing, he'll keep you around.
Wow.
Does this footage exist? I've never even heard of this.
Yeah.
It's on Nitro Circus, the DVDs, Part 3. It's in my section. You can see it for a brief second because my buddy who filmed it was not a videographer.
Oh, God.
And he shot it from super far away on a jet ski with a super zoomed in handycam.
Oh, so it looks like the Zapruder film?
So
It's
wait
like
a minute.
bouncing all around?
Yes, the Zapruder film is actually a little bit better.
So, Tommy, as I hear you describe these stunts, it all sounds very scientific. You're like, I pushed off, and the azimuth of my jump was calculated to land me in this zone, but as this happened, that happened, and then I landed on my face. At what point does your calculations go wrong? Because it sounds scientific, but on the videos, it doesn't look terribly scientific.
Well, it's easy to talk scientific after it happens to explain it, but when the time comes and somebody says, here's your stunt, I just pretty much go, all right, I guess this is it. I'm going to make this decision now.
So what are the logistics of this? Did you have to buy like a 3-day cruise pass? Did you have a bag on board?
I got all drunk for 3 days.
That seems to be your pre-stunt planning.
Before, back in the day. After the stunts got a lot bigger, I quit drinking.
Did you jump off the back?
No, it was a side.
Do you ever invite someone in that wears glasses and knows a lot of math stuff to evaluate any of these stunts?
Never, not once.
None of you guys?
That is a mistake.
Even those guys with glasses, they don't know what happens because things change dramatically that they can't account for. Like, just for instance, if you guys ever talk to Robbie Madison, ask him about his visor when he was doing his longest jump. Just by taking the visor off, I think he gained like 30 or 40 feet.
Jesus.
Oh, because of aerodynamics.
Yes, correct.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, those aerodynamics are tricky, man. Too bad those guys with glasses don't know anything about that. No, it really is. That kind of stuff is a dark, dark art. People don't know. Like golf ball dimples make it fly further. Nobody understands that stuff.
Well, that's the funny thing. I don't know if people realize like dirt bikes don't even have speedometers. It's not like you don't have any idea.
Idea.
You just go by gear and what rev level you're at.
Yeah, you're like, fourth pin should do it.
Yeah, maybe.
Speaking of not planning stunts or planning stunts, there's a guy who actually did some work for Optrix when we first started our very first show, and that's the Smudge Brothers. And Phil Smudge just tried to break.
That's my homie.
Yeah, they were super nice when I met them. They were brand new. I think they had just come off of some talent show like America's Got Talent or something, Trials Riders. But then I saw this video and I know that he's in a little bit of a rough spot and we can give out some donation information. Tell me what happened there. He was trying to break a record with like a UTV or like one of those off-road dune buggies?
Yeah, the world record for side-by-side, like a Razor UTV or whatever the hell you want to call it. I think it was like 220 feet or something like that, like something not that unobtainable. And Trav was just like, hey, for action figures, do you want to do the stunt? And Phil was like, no. But you can totally do it, dude. It's not a big deal. Like, just do this. And, like, after some talking to, not really convincing, but just, like, explaining of the stunt and, like, his skill level and stuff, he was more than capable to do the stunt. Like, don't let it fool you. A lot of people might give Trav, a bad rap for talking people into things. But, Trav just gives you, like he puts you in a situation, gives you a situation, and you make the decision. You know what I mean? He never gives anybody any pressure. He talks about something, he's thinking about his skill level, and he tends to make it sound easy. And this particular one Phil was more than capable to do the stunt. And he actually did the test runs just fine. He did probably 4 test runs on that same exact jump and shorted it. You know what I mean? Like he was doing pretty much the record, coming up to it, and then when it came time to do the record, he'll tell you himself that he wanted to get it over with. Like He didn't want to beat the record by like 10 feet and then do 20 feet and then do 30. He wanted to pin it, get it done. The video, he definitely went too fast, but he had a couple factors. It looked like he caught some type of updraft.
Yeah.
And kind of floated there for a little bit. They got him some extra speed too. And he landed just super flat at like 275 feet, 300 feet, something like that.
For people that haven't seen it, it is pretty mind-blowing. It almost looks like kind of how they have CGI videos where it looks like a normal video and then something just like takes off and flies into outer space.
It doesn't even look like that. It looks like bad special effects.
Yes, it looks like bad special effects.
Like, you remember the original RoboCop when they would use stop motion animation?
Yes.
It looks like someone just takes a picture of the thing and just like moves it over there 300 feet.
I mean, the landing ramp was enormous.
Yeah, and he cleared the whole thing.
And he just cleared it like it was the gap. I mean, it was absolutely insane how big he went. Any idea on how big the actual jump was where he landed?
That's what I'm saying. He went close to 300 feet, anywhere from 270 something to 300, somewhere in that range. And I don't know if anybody can really put that into perspective, but it's pretty close to a football field.
In the air. In a small vehicle. This isn't a monster truck.
Like a golf cart.
It's a tin can.
Yeah.
It's a tin can.
John
I
flipped
agree.
One of those recently.
I have flipped those. I agree. I think that is. It had to be some sort of updraft or something. When you watch the video, speed alone, and then also like the pitch of the vehicle, it like doesn't seem to rotate in the air like you would expect. It kind of just goes up, has kind of like an airplane landing angle, and just stays and like almost hovers like a glider. Just stays
fake.
Airborne.
Yeah.
Yeah, it caught some loft for sure.
How's he doing? I know he had some injuries, but it looks like with some good medical care and a little bit of money and support, he can get back to a pretty good spot.
So Phil is the most driven person I've ever met in my entire life. Anybody else would have been paralyzed from his situation. He was paralyzed, but it was like something that he could have come back from, and he is. He's putting in the work. He's like in consistent pain. I mean, the dude is unbearable pain all day, every day right now, and he's just working through it, and he's forcing himself to move every little muscle in his body that he possibly can to its full extent to get full recovery. Like, he's not drinking, he's making sure that like his brain's right, he's getting his proper diet, he's seeing the best people in the game, but that's also expensive. So I mean, he is in a tight spot, and Nitro has helped out, Travis has helped out tremendously with his bills, but they are big. Like, I mean, there's only so much, people can do. So, I mean, collectively, it takes a village. So, I mean, if anybody does feel like donating, I'm sure you guys are going to provide a link.
We'll put a link on our website, and I think if anyone likes this show, we do this show. We put it out there for free. We're not people that sit on there and beg people to make donations to our show to support this or anything like that. So when guys like Tommy come on the show and these guys do stuff to entertain us, I think the least we can do, I mean, we'll make a donation from the show personally, but we'll also put a link on our website. That's how you can take care of us, is by taking care of those people that help us.
If you ever put $1 in the jar for the guy who paints himself like a statue and stands on the street corner, like these guys are hucking golf carts 300
Thank
feet.
you. Well said.
Maybe $100. Dude, Tommy, it sounds like you're maybe a little bit younger than us. We came of age originally with Jackass. I mean, I remember, I think CKY when we were probably in middle school or like freshmen in high school.
That was me, man. Ryan Dunn was my guy.
Yeah. So can you talk a bit about the relationship between the two groups of friends and the shows and everything?
Well, I tell you what, man, we smell our own, man. It's they're a group of badasses, man. They're the originators. They did it first, and like they did it funny, It's like not only did they do the stunts, but they have that comedic bond that just like it's undeniable, and people, you just stop and watch because it's just something truly amazing. And to be doing it first, man, like that takes some balls. And those guys, man, salt of the earth. Every single one of those guys I've ever met have been the nicest, most welcoming, humble people I've ever met that have any notoriety, especially of that caliber. From Jeff Tremaine, Johnny Knoxville, all the way down, through all of the actors. Dave England and Preston's my man. Wee Man still talk. I keep constant contact with all these guys, and some of the stories that those guys have, like that you don't know, the pain and tribulation that they've gone through. Like, just for instance, I mean, Danger Aaron, when he did the Lamborghini stunt where he tied his tooth to Bam's Lambo, he ended up like the way. Don't ever do that, kids. Like, don't ever tie your tooth to something and pull it out, because it actually broke his face.
Oh, yeah. It was not a loose tooth. It was just like a for shits and giggles.
Just a tooth.
Yeah, let's rip this tooth that is connected to my jawbone out with a Huracan or whatever the latest Lambo
What
is.
they use, like swordfish fishing
Wasn't it
line?
like Bam Margera's Lambo or something?
Yeah, and it cracked all the way up to his eyeball.
Oh my!
It like pulled his lower jaw off.
Yeah, that whole thing, like, really, it's a lasting forever injury. Like, the thing that people don't understand is, like, yeah, we get broke off and it hurts, and like we go to the hospital and like they think we're good afterwards, after a little rehab. Dude, forever injuries, man. I got a detached left calf. I can't really sit too long because I broke my tailbone. I got, vertebrae out completely that I'm not going to get put back. You should see some x-rays, man. I got some scary x-rays.
I mean, you look at like Evel Knievel used to walk with a cane at the end of his career. I feel like that, or even the beginning of whatever Jackass 3 or whatever, when they're all old and walking with the walkers and so on. I feel like that is actually just a reality for the Nitro crew, that when they're not on camera, they all like grab their walkers from behind because of all the laundry list of injuries.
It's very accurate. So Trav, he does walk extremely weird because he's had more injuries than all of us combined. But the next in line is definitely going to be Jolene. He's had more injury but she keeps in such peak performance shape that she's able to be pretty functional. I mean, she deals with a lot of ankle problems and stuff like that, but she is just a machine in the gym all day, every day. And she's a true athlete. Jim DeChamp, he's had just a rough road.
Yeah, she did the first backflip ever on a motocross bike for a woman.
Wow.
She did the first front flip on a motocross bike ever. She did the first double backflip BMX female ever, first front flip BMX ever. She's got a laundry list of female first. Jolene's the most impressive female I've ever met in my life.
Speaking of backflips on dirt bikes, did I see a video of you landing a backflip on dirt?
Oh, bam, 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 bam. You know what it is, man. That's the one success that I had was back in the DVD days. I actually landed 252 stroke backflip to dirt.
Dude, that takes balls. That takes
How many times did you nail it in the foam before you're like, okay, I'm ready to try this on dirt?
Please say 100.
Did it probably 30 times.
And you felt like, all right, I think I got this down. I'm ready to try dirt.
Nah, Trav thought I was ready.
That's legit, man. I backflipped a BMX bike into a foam pit. It took me like 25 tries to finally get all the way around.
He's not impressed.
No, I'm not trying. Trust me. I have long since given up on impressing anybody. But I felt like, all right, if I do this 100 more times, maybe I would try it onto water.
The thing is like, if you don't ride and you're a very novice rider, like if you know how to make the bike function but you've never jumped before, I can teach you how to backflip in like an hour. It's the guys that have ridden before and are looking for the landing that can't do it. They can't wrap their head around doing the backflip.
The thing I noticed with when I did the BMX is that it's really your head. It's you have to just look. You have to commit to looking all the way around. It's not even really your body.
More hips than anything else.
Yeah, it's interesting what you said there, Tommy, because I used to teach car racing as an instructor, and one of the most interesting things was that if you had someone who had their Mustang and had all these go fast parts in it and liked to drive on the street really fast and thought they were a badass, they were almost unteachable. Yeah. But if you got somebody's mom in the car that had never raced before and was super cautious, and they actually listened to you and listened to what the car was doing, you could have that grandma smoking laps by the end of the day, and they would be just smoking that guy in his Mustang with 500 horsepower.
100%.
But you must be a pretty good dirt bike rider, though, right?
No. I mean, I like to go fast and I understand traction. It's when I have to leave the ground it's an issue. But yeah, I mean, I'm fast as long as I don't have to jump. Like if you put me on a course where I didn't have to jump, I'd be fast as hell. Like I corner good, straightaways, all that stuff doesn't bother me, speed, but it's like leaving the ground is an issue.
Yeah, that's usually where stuff goes wrong.
I find that it's the coming back to the ground that's usually where I go south.
Well, Tommy, we've had you on for a while, and yeah, Connor's bringing up something that I didn't touch upon, and that is today there is a celebration. Anyone that's been a Nitro fan knows about Roner and the contribution and integral part that he was of the Nitro Circus crew, and then things obviously went tragically wrong a few years ago. What's going on right now in Southern California?
The entire Nitro family is in California at this moment, and they're having a huge benefit to benefit Eric Roner's family, and it's a huge fundraiser. It's a big event. Like they've put together all kinds. I think they have even put up like I saw them putting up a snowboard ramp, like a snowboard roll-in.
Oh,
jump.
Cool.
Big event that they've put on, and you get to meet all the top action sports athletes. Everybody's going to be accessible, and we're trying to get everybody out there to donate. So it's a really good event, and it's to benefit a really good cause. Eric's family as well as others that are in the same situation of loss.
Yeah, we can go ahead and put a link to that as well on our site and get people information if they want that. Do we ever know what happened? Because Roner, obviously a very, very skilled base jumper, and I mean probably thousands of jumps. And from what I read, it was not kind of a riskier thing that he had done. Did we ever figure out what happened, or is it still unknown?
It's still nobody really could. I mean, you don't know because basically what he was doing that day was like you doing your commute to work.
Yeah.
That was the equivalent because it was a standard skydive, not a base jump. Standard skydive into a huge landing because it was a wide open golf course. And he just ended up, somehow got turned and still had a lot of speed and just really hit a tree hard and didn't make it through it. So it was a very unfortunate event that nobody really understands why or how it happened. But in our sport, it's that stuff happens. But when you're, it's hard to wrap your head around it. But it's also, I'm thankful for being around him as long as we were, and the life that he lived was truly inspirational. There's not a day that he lived that like he wasn't living. Like he truly had a fulfilled life. So I mean, it's a super unfortunate situation, but definitely super glad that he was in my life.
I mean, I never knew him, but it was clear just watching people on film. Sometimes you can get a sense for their personality, and you could just tell that he was one of those genuine, no ego, humble,
best in the world.
Yeah, it basically proves it with his actions, not his mouth. And, I think it's just proof positive that the stuff you guys do, as much as you bring comic relief to a lot of the stunts that you do, it is true that like a basketball player or a football player has a bad day and they have a bad game. But when you guys have a bad day, it has consequences.
Big time.
Well, yeah, I know that I'm sure that brings up a lot for you, but our hearts go out to you and the whole crew, and we'll see what we can do to support that and get that out there, because you guys have brought a lot of entertainment to people over the years, and the least they can do is kind of put their money where their mouth is when times get tough. So,
well, I greatly appreciate that, and yeah, man, because we're definitely doing it, man. Like every single one of us is sinking every possible penny that we have extra into it, and don't think that we're just asking for help. Everybody has contributed massive amounts to make sure that Eric's family and other families like his are taken care of.
Yeah,
it's a very uncommon thing in action sports, but it does happen.
Yeah.
Well,
we want to shift gears a little bit here. We've got something that we do on the show, and then we'll let you go, Tommy, because we know your time is valuable, and we're just a couple of schmoes with a podcast.
Which apparently anybody can get.
Yeah, there's not a big barrier to entry to this. Yeah. Much like doing backflips while drunk. There's a huge barrier to entry here. But Connor, before we start with the lightning round, created a new intro for the lightning round.
Okay.
Because we had an argument last week. So pause with me for a second here, Tommy.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Welcome to the lightning round. You don't have to answer that question.
I'll answer the question.
I believe that you can hear lightning.
I don't really give a good fuck what you know or don't know, but I'm gonna torture you anyway.
Launching in 3, 2, 1.
Listening to your sound bites is torture.
So, Connor, that was so highly produced.
So John put together a mishmash of quotes from Reservoir Dogs.
Yes.
Me sounding like I knew what I was talking about when I was actually completely wrong, and I don't even remember the rest. Yeah, basically, John was right.
There was a few good men in there.
Yeah.
You don't have to answer the question. I'll answer the question.
Yeah. John, if anybody ever proves that expression, the sun shines on a dog's ass once in a while,
yes.
That is John. I was wrong this one time, allegedly. I don't agree. And John is just not going to let it go.
See, I was told once by one person that they like the sound effects on the show, so then I just doubled down. I am like a savant of stupid sound effects. I'm like if Carrot Top got a mixing board, that's me.
Yes. Nice. I like it.
The one person who said that was his wife, by the way.
No, she hates me.
Tell you what, man, the wives, man, they'll make you do some weird stuff.
Oh shit, yeah, if you're lucky.
Yeah, thank you.
Once a month. All right, Mr. Tommy. This is what we call the lightning round. I'm going to fire some exciting lightning questions at you, and all I ask is that you answer truthfully and in a way that makes John seem wrong about things.
Okay.
Who is the coolest celebrity you have ever met?
Vanilla Ice.
Ah. Rob Van Winkle?
Yeah, we know his lawyer. His lawyer was on our show
that's right.
a few weeks
I forgot
ago.
that. Yeah. At any point, did you ever pull a diva move? Like, I'm Streetbike Tommy. Get those goddamn green M&Ms out of my trailer.
Every single day.
Yes.
Yeah, we've had a few people on the show who mentioned you as the biggest asshole celebrity.
This is where this is where I can name drop my one cool story.
Yeah.
I won't derail the entire interview with lightning round. Damn it.
Go ahead.
I was in for a while, right when Talladega Nights came out. I was working in NASCAR, and so they actually wrote a part in the movie for me. So I was there. I of course never made. I was on the cutting room floor,
right?
But I was there, and they had a trailer and like red carpet. And when they asked, someone came to my trailer and they knocked. And they said, Mr. Willenborg, is everything okay with your trailer? And I was like, somebody put goddamn fucking green M&Ms in that bowl. And I distinctly said, no green M&Ms. And I think she was too young to get the reference. And she's like, I am so sorry. I will have that taken care of. Like, did not get the joke at all. And I became the biggest asshole there.
And those green M&Ms were gone when I got back.
Oh, they were. And everyone hated me.
Yeah. Not surprisingly, your part was cut.
And Will Ferrell eye-rolled me.
Oh, my God, dude.
So
that's a pretty solid story.
Yeah, I'm a loser. I'm giving my loser sound effect.
So you guys travel all over the world with the show. What country has the best women?
America, dummies.
Woo!
That's an easy question.
That has not been my experience.
What do you mean? Like the hottest chicks?
Oh, how do I say this? I prefer the company of men.
Oh,
Connor's more of a grinder than a Tinder.
Okay, not a big deal. But let me visit that one too. So,
gay stuff.
Everybody that has anything to say about the United States, you're wrong if you're saying it negatively, because the best athletes come here to become athletes. The best models come here to do modeling. The best of everything comes here to stay, and they can keep their heritage and they can say, oh, I'm, this, that, or the other thing. But guess what, man? When the day's over, where are you at?
That's true. Connor's now begging me to ask which country has the hottest men.
No, I don't. That's fine. I know the answer to that myself.
America.
Italy.
Swarthy.
Who is I should preface this. So you guys travel together a lot. I assume you're in hotels all the time. Who is the grossest guy or cast member, I should say, in Nitro Circus?
Not to be offensive, but Jim the Champ.
And is it because he doesn't shower? What is the gross activity?
Jim gets when he drinks, he tends not to really care where his urine goes.
It's pretty gross.
Yeah.
Has it ever gone on you?
No, because I would instantly punch somebody in the face.
I got baptized by a friend of mine on 2 separate occasions.
We did have another friend drink his urine one time on accident when we were playing beer pong.
Wait. You need to tell this story.
So we were playing beer pong in Texas, and Jim thought it was funny to pee in one of the cups. And so our other friend, when it was his turn to drink the cup, he did, and he slammed it.
Oh, warm and flat. Like, at what point do you realize that was not
Still probably better than an
not
IPA,
a natty
though.
light?
I feel like when you pick it up and it's hot, it makes a difference. But we were pretty drunk, and I don't know, whatever.
Did it come back up?
No, he just got really mad, looked at Jim directly in the face.
Oh. Yeah, you don't want to bring it back up because then you got to retaste it. I'm with Tommy. I'm keeping that down.
God, dude, no way. Vomit all day. Mouth, don't care.
No, if you bring it up, it's gonna come out your nose, and
Yeah, but that's something that went through some dude's penis.
Still better than an IPA though.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to audible this because that answer made me think of this. Have you guys have guys on the show ever come to blows?
No, close a couple times, but mainly me. I get annoyed pretty easy.
What is the most embarrassing thing to happen to you during your time?
When I was a kid, I got caught masturbating. That was kind of bad.
Caught by who has the biggest balls?
Travis. Like, the kid is just, I don't know. It's hard to say because I guess it's how you define balls.
Because he's talented.
See,
but
that's my thing.
Yeah.
I feel like he's
if
just
Connor
really,
did half the stuff that you did,
right,
he would have bigger balls because he's completely talentless.
no talent.
I hear you.
Pastrana's like the guy. I actually had one of my questions on here, which I'm not going to ask you now. It was just, is he the worst person ever? Because he's like, I'm the best motocross rider or freestyle rider in the world.
Not worst, but most hateable because he's so awesome.
Most hateable. He's like Jake Ryan.
Yes.
He's got his dad's Porsche. He's the best motocross rider. Then he's like, you know what? I'm gonna switch up and just go be the best rally car driver. And then I'm gonna create Neverland Ranch.
And then he's really nice and humble, and
he's got like a wife and
he's
kid.
very hateable, but
handsome.
he's so nice. He's likable.
That guy.
He was so nice when we were out there, Pastrana Land. He would just like open door policy with the house, just hang out, come in. It was I was hanging out with his kid. He only had one kid at the time, and I mean, just could not have been nicer.
Definitely the best dude on the planet.
I meanwhile have psoriasis and no friends.
No one wants to know.
Who does the dumbest shit?
I think we've got him on the line.
Yeah, it's me.
You don't have to answer this if you don't want. Are there any performance enhancing drugs going on other than lots of beer?
What do you mean, like extracurriculars or like?
Are you guys juiced?
No.
No. That's not what I meant. I mean, if I'm jumping off a building onto what do they call it? A flappy? I'm snorting a rail of meth before I do that.
I feel like that would make you a little jittery.
Whatever. It'd get me to do it.
Dude, to be honest, I'm not just saying it. The action sports community drinks heavily. But for the most part, they nobody even smokes cigarettes. I mean, it's like booze is acceptable, and it's just it's like the thing, I don't know. I guess you'd have to talk to some rock stars about. Yeah, there's some people smoking some weed, I guess.
Yeah, but that's Advil these days.
Yeah, really awesome Advil that makes everything better.
So this is kind of a 2-part question.
Yes.
What's your next big move?
I'm barbecuing like a mug, dude. I'm opening restaurants. I'm gonna become an entrepreneur. Dude, I opened up Looney Bin Barbecue, man. I'm a food truck right now, traveling the country. I'm going to be on the West Coast soon. I'll come see you.
I have to, and here's where, how you said Travis is hateable because he's so good at stuff?
Right.
Tommy is also hateable because I love barbecue more than anything on this earth. And hippie vegan scum can suck it. And I constantly open my Instagrams, and Tommy has got a brisket or ribs, and he's talking about it, and he's talking about all these cities on the East Coast where he's going to be serving this barbecue that I cannot attend.
No, dude, I'm coming out west, man. I'm actually going to be out there starting August 25th. I'll be in Oregon with Era 3 Clothing, and then I'm cruising up to Dirtfish to do a rally school as well as serve those guys in Washington, and then I'm heading down to San Clemente to do the Nitro head offices, and then you guys can come. I'll just keep an eye out, man. We'll be down there serving a couple days.
What ballpark on dates for when you're in San Clemente?
Very beginning of September.
I'm there. Are you driving the truck across country?
Yes, sir.
Nice.
I'm a truck driver now. Shout out to Mr. George's CDL school.
Well, you got license for that? Because this is my favorite. The other day on his Instagram, he's like, hey, everyone, I just got my motorcycle license. His name is Streetbike Tommy. He's been doing wheelies, getting chased by the cops since he was like 16, and he just last month or something got his motorcycle license.
But you know the Wright brothers never had a pilot's license?
Because there were no fucking pilots, you moron.
I don't care.
Flying didn't exist.
Tommy made this cool. He doesn't need a license.
Yes, Tommy, do you have a front flip to plywood license?
I talked to the FAA and I don't need one. So.
Couple more questions. The TV show, will you please bring it back?
Yes.
I would love to talk to the head offices of MTV, please.
Can we just look with the YouTube Red? The kids suck these days.
What about Netflix?
I feel like you, on a bad day, mailing it in with a beer in your hand, could do cooler shit than the kids can do these days. Yeah, I'm just not good at like the filming it myself stuff. That's true. And we know that your guy in the jet ski is no better.
Nah. So I need like this generation to follow me around.
All right. Okay, Connor's got one more here.
Last question, Tommy. Can we come hang out ever?
I did not sanction this question.
Can I come hang out ever?
Yeah, but you're buying beer.
Deal. I'll bring weed too.
I will absolutely buy beer. Here's what I'll do. I won't. I will go and I won't tell Tommy when Connor's showing up, and then Connor can get thrown out by Tommy because Tommy doesn't know what you look like.
I know that guy.
He will bounce. Yeah,
knows the guy.
I talked to a guy once who knows you, and Tommy will bounce your ass right out.
I will physically remove your ass.
Tommy, thank you so much for taking the time. We have learned so many things. Like, if you want to front flip, not back flip your motorcycle, you're going to want to get very drunk. And preceding that, you're going to want to get in a chase with the cops after crashing your 83 Lincoln into a tree and then shooting it with shotgun shells.
Correct.
And we also learned that you make the best brisket in town, and you're going to be out in California in early September. What else did we learn, Connor? Anything else?
He is the coolest celebrity I've ever had the privilege to talk to.
I can't top that. On that note, I'm going to play some Dropkick Murphys out.
Thank you, Tommy.
Tommy, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for listening to Wildcard. See live podcasts and pics from the show on Instagram and Facebook, or visit us online at wildcardshow.com.